Okay, we are starting a new challenge. It is the Sustainable Dream Home Challenge. Follow the instructions on the Google Doc, which is in the Files for All Interns folder, Sustainable Sketchup Dream Home. So we've gone on to Sketchup. We clicked Create Sketchup Free, the Sketchup Free, logging in with Google. And we clicked Create New to start a brand new file. And the very first thing you always want to do is click up here where it says Untitled, give it a name. And in this case, call it what it is. Don't just call it SketchUp. Don't call it Project. Don't call it MYEEP or AFSF. Call it Sustainable Dream Home, your initials, and give it a number because you might have multiple versions of it. Okay, Sustainable Dream Home, your initials, and a number. Okay, and click OK. All right, now the first thing you're going to do is, again, I want you to start with the rectangle tool. It'll be blue when you're putting it on the ground. And I want you to use precise measurements. So click once and just move, and don't click again. Notice the dimensions down there in the lower right are moving. So you want to type the dimensions. You want to actually type the dimensions. So in this case, let's say I want to make it, I don't know, I want to make it 50 by 30, which is going to be pretty big. So I might type 50, single quote for feet, 50 feet, comma, 30, single quote. So comma means 50 by 30. 50, single quote, comma, 30, single quote for the other dimension. So it's 50 feet wide, 30 feet deep. Okay. So use a comma instead of an X for like length times width. Okay. Now we're going to use the push-pull tool, which is right underneath the rectangle here. The top of those three is the push-pull tool. And again, so we're going to notice it gets highlighted to say, oh, you want to push-pull this? Yes. Click, and again, just drag. You can let go, but actually better not to let go. Control Z to undo that. Click don't let go. Before you let go, type the dimensions you wanted. If you want it to be 1 story, you can do 10 feet, 10 single quote. If you want it to be 2 stories, make it 20 single quote. If you want it to be 3 stories, make it 30 single quote. I can make this, you can do a multi unit dwelling. That could be interesting too. So if I make this 30 feet, now I have a 3-story. This is going to be pretty huge, what I'm doing right here. Be the arrow whenever you're in doubt. So I have a pretty large block here for a fairly massive building. This could be a multi-unit. This might be like a 3-story small apartment building, or maybe it'd be a tall duplex with townhomes. Could be split in 2. There's a lot you could do with this. Okay. And remember, use your materials but also I want you to focus on the yard. I want you to focus on the outside. And you could do that with the pencil tool or the rectangle tool, either one. You could draw rectangles, or you could draw rectangles for a yard here, and then you could also do it, and I want this to be blue, so it's going to have to, you got too many things. Do this yard in blue as well. And it looks like these did not get fully connected, so I'm going to zoom in to make sure they're fully connected. And then I can erase these lines in between them, hopefully without losing my... So I've got 1 yard, but I could leave them as separate yards if I want to have like a garden in one part. And now I'm going to use in the materials, which is the cube with the 5 side on the 5 on one side, I'm going to search for landscaping. And I'm going to use, where's my landscape? Landscaping, fencing, vegetation. So maybe I'm going to have different plants here, but until I get more specific, I could just make it like that. I could also do that, a pattern on the roof to give myself a living roof. And that living roof could be a patio. I could instead say I'm going to have a living roof, but I'm going to have a patio in the middle. And maybe I'm going to have like stairs that come up. So I could set off part of this, and I could have my, this might be my staircase that comes up here. I'm going to set the dimensions of that. I didn't set these dimensions. Maybe I'll use it as an offset. Remember, offset is the third hidden underneath the push-pull. So I click once, and maybe I want this living roof to be like, how big is my whole roof? I've got 15 feet. It's 30 feet. It's 30 by 50. So maybe I want it to be like, yeah, 10 foot, or maybe not quite a 10-foot offset. Maybe it's going to be smaller than that. Maybe it's just going to be like a 5-foot thing. Because if you want to be able to get in there and garden, so maybe it's a 5 foot, and I might have some other usable space. So I've got a partial living roof, and now I'm going to have space for the stairs to come up. So I'm going to do another rectangle. Maybe the stairs are going to come up in one corner of this. So maybe the stairs need to be like 12 feet. I'm just going to type 12 feet, comma, 7 feet. And I might need to adjust that later, but that's what I'm thinking is the room for the, and I could push pull that up as well. Pull that up another, say another 10 feet for where the stairs come up. And if I want to put like a solar, and by the way, this is now a different material. So this is no longer going to be the living roof in the whole space. Maybe I'm going to put some solar panels up here. Maybe I'm going to have a rooftop patio. But I might have some, maybe I'll have some reclaimed stone as the patio space. And maybe I'm just going to make this a very plain roofing. Maybe it's more like, it's going to look like a gray asphalt, but it's not really. And maybe I can put, if I want to put solar panels on this, I want to show one new feature to you guys to find things like solar panels, to find things like specific appliances. You can even find things like trees, bushes, cars, etc. Are all on what's called the 3D warehouse. So 3D warehouse is this strange little Trimble symbol. It's the symbol of SketchUp. It's this their weird little 3D symbol. If you click on that, it takes you to a 3D warehouse. The first time you use it, you have to click on the blue I accept button for whatever their registration, for their terms and conditions. If you don't see it, and it's not letting you in, just zoom out until you can see that little blue I accept button to click it. So you can search for whatever you want here. I want to search for solar panels. These are some giant solar panels. Wow. Maybe if I say rooftop solar panels. Okay, here we go. Here's some rooftop solar panels that I'm looking for. Maybe like these, I might put these on my roof. So let's see if I click on this. This is, how big is it? It's only 283K. Does everybody see that right there? 283K. You want to, if possible, avoid, you're going to click on models. So you search for an item you want. Click on the models tab at the top, near the top. And then choose one and check the file size. You want to avoid items that are more than as much as possible. It's certainly anything more than 5 megabytes. Even 2 megabytes might cause your design to lag. If it's too much memory intensive, it's going to just lag. It's going to be slow. It's going to be annoying. So let's do this. Let's download this. So now I'm putting this somewhere. Why isn't it letting me put it in? Hello. Weirdly putting it there. Why would it put it all the way there? Let's see if I can zoom in on that. And can I pick it up and move it? There we go. All right, it looks like it's there. Great. And I can put as many of these as I want. If I click on the 3 boxes, remember the 3 boxes were components, but first I'm going to move this. Oh, let's move it over there. Oh, look, I put another one. Is it duplicating every single time? Whoops. Okay, I've got 2 of these. Maybe I want a few more. I want them pretty close together. So I click on components, and here it is. Here is that weird, oh, and it's doing that weird thing again. I have to apparently get it from over here instead. I have to be the move tool, which is the move tool is these 4 arrows, top of those 3. Now let's say, and I could zoom in. It didn't quite make it to my rooftop. It's sort of hovering in space. So I'll wait till it's blue on face. I want it to be on. There it is. Maybe. Okay. And maybe move it a little bit this way. And maybe let's see, is it still floating in space somehow? So let's pull it down on blue axis. Okay. And now it should be. Somehow it's, I want to be on red axis or green axis. Okay. And oh, let's leave you there. Press escape to stop placing that one. Let's see if we can place this one. And sometimes it helps to do this, to kind of spin around and be at different angles so that you can see a little better where it's fitting and where it's not. And if I zoom in, maybe it'll let me be a little more precise with putting it down on the ground. Of course, it's duplicating it there for some reason. I don't know why it's doing that. Because now I've got 2 of them. And I'm going to have to pull one of them forward on green axis. And I'm going to move it sideways on red axis to pull it pretty close to the other one. And this other one I'm going to have to pull out over here. Well, let me. It's just going to be kind of a little annoying this way. I'll zoom out and spin around. Now, what if actually I wanted these, and you could also just delete anyone that's being too annoying. What if I'm angling the wrong way? What if I want these angled differently? What if this is facing the wrong way? I mean, you might notice this little compass that shows up. That is your rotation tool. And I'm going to show you how to rotate things now. It can be a little bit tricky. It's kind of an advanced thing. And it can be kind of janky. It can kind of mess up at first. So just want to don't get too caught, don't get too worried if it doesn't work at first. But see, I'm at the midpoint of the panel. The panel is at an angle, so I don't really want to be at the midpoint of the panel. I want to be on the edge of the panel, and now I'm spinning around. So now I can spin at 180 degrees, and if I orbit, it should hopefully Yes, that worked because now it's facing the way I want it to. If I wanted it to face this other way, let's say. If you wanted to face it the other way, you just press Control Z to undo what you're doing. But I also want to point out, notice if I go to the midpoint of the panel, if I click midpoint of panel, and where's my rotation tool? There. Oh, it's a blue. As long as the rotation tool is blue, you're fine. Rotation also hides in the middle of this under move. Now the trick is, see how that's black? You don't want your rotation tool to be black because that means it's going to be rotating at some weird angle. See, now it's doing some weird thing where it's like, the heck happened there? Like, look at how messed up that is. I don't want that. Control Z to undo that. So you want your rotation tool always to be, in general, blue, red, or green, so you know that you're in that plane as it's orbiting. Now, let's say these things were too big. I wanted smaller solar panels. Now you're going to use the scale tool. So the scale tool also hides under move, and it's the third one down, this bottom tool here. So notice if I click on one of these, notice these green boxes show up on the edges and in the midpoints, the midpoint of each edge, the corner of each edge, and the midpoint of each face. These are what are called handles. So usually, almost always, you want to drag from a corner. And you can click the corner and you can just drag to make it smaller, or you can type, I want to make it exactly half size. So 0.5, boom, it's half sized. Okay. Now, that was dragging from a corner. I'm going to Control Z to undo that. If I wanted to drag, if I wanted to just make it thinner, I can just pull from here. It's going to squeeze the whole thing like that. Pulling from here just squeezes it like that. Pulling from the middle here squeezes it like that. So each handle has a very specific way that it's squeezing or stretching. And same works in the opposite direction. If I want to make these bigger, you just go the opposite. And if I just type the number 2, it's going to be twice as big. Now I've got this Mongo solar panel that doesn't even fit on my roof. Okay. All right, that's enough of me talking. I want you guys to keep working on this. Explore the 3D warehouse. Start your dream home. Put in doors and windows like we showed last time, and start putting in a yard. And start designing what you want for the yard, the roof, and what sustainability features you want. Okay, I'm gonna click save and save often, and I'm going to pause the recording.